So we recently watched the newest installment of this series from Mad Season, but I've actually never watched the first episodes of this. I've never watched any of the other ones, so I figured it could be really fun to go back and watch some of these together. It is a series called World of Warcraft's most famous and infamous players. I wonder how many. Oh, I wonder how many I'll recognize. Should be able to recognize a few.
Hey guys, what's up? Mad Season here, back with another video for you.
Okay.
Over the years of World of Warcraft's lifespan, there have been some players or moments that have stood out from the rest, either in a good way or a bad way. So in this video, I thought I'd take a step out of the game for a moment and talk about some of the more famous or infamous
Leeroy.
players of World of Warcraft. I won't really include YouTube content creators because that's a little boring, I think. Instead, I want to focus on the people who were involved in some interesting or some funny in-game event.
Yeah,
People who
that's
left
cool.
such an impression that they have in-game references or items named after them.
I like that.
So, let's get into it.
Okay.
These are the most famous or infamous players of World of Warcraft.
Okay, cool. Oh, I've seen this before. The ERP in Deep Run Tram. Artemisia groans softly, biting your neck softly. Her breath hard against your neck. Oh. Inotep smiles and his fingers move in a circular motion. Sounds like someone is enjoying herself. Artemisia squirms against your hand, softly whimpering. Maybe.
Number 1.
Yeah.
Gedren the Dwarf and his Dwarven hand cannon. Out of boredom, one day Gedren
Sorry.
went to go exploring in the Deep Run tram that connects Stormwind to Ironforge, and he came upon a, interesting scene.
Yeah.
You see, Gedren was on a role-playing realm, and he came upon two night elves in the middle of a very special
TTS is paused right now. I'll play it after this, okay, player? Thank you for the 6.
roleplay. Enotep and Artemisia. Hey, nothing says romance like a dark, dank corner of a public transit station.
Yeah.
Enotep settles for nothing less than the top high-class venues to engage in cyber-diddling. The hairy dwarf skulked the shadows, assessing the situation from afar. And, seizing the moment, Gedren decided to join in.
Oh no.
He emerged from the shadows and interjected himself into their intimate, role-playing experience.
What? Okay, guys, I'm sorry, man. I'm gonna have to read this, okay? It might be a little bit cringe. Gedren reveals his head from the shadows and begins to unzip his pantaloons. Gedren removes his Dwarven hand cannon and begins to... Gedren lets out a quiet gasp as the cannon begins to expand... Okay, you know what? I don't think I should read that. I'm not gonna lie. Enotep growls, you need to leave.
He tried his best, but for some reason, he was rejected from joining in.
Yeah.
Enotep didn't roll that way apparently, so Gedren quickly retreated into the shadows to watch from a safe distance from Enotep's roaming fingers. But the moment had passed. Before Gedren could even whip out his Dwarven hand cannon, Artemisia took her leave. In fact, she walked her butt all the way back to Ironforge.
Oh no.
Uber didn't exist back then apparently. Enotep, not too pleased with this turn of events, prepared to take his leave as well. No one stands in the way of a night elf and his E-action.
What, you, sir, are a dirty bastard of a dwarf, and I hope your mother is... That's an R word. My troll, and then killed and brought up amongst the ranks of the undead so that I may kill her myself. Hey, yo!
He re-equipped his clothing and verbally bombasted the dirty dwarf for dropping in uninvited.
What the...
Feeling remorse for ruining the moment, Gedren offered an apology, but it wasn't taken. He had
You've done quite enough, and no, I do not accept an apology from someone who would have that kind of gal and indecency. Plus, this is an RP realm. You, sir, are a fool, and you need to take your ass to normal realm. Bro, okay, to be fair to him though, he was doing it, he was role-playing, okay? Like, that was hefty roleplay involved in those messages.
done quite enough, and Enotep walked off into the sunset, never to be seen again.
He was role-playing.
For number 2, we have Karmer the Paladin.
God.
Back in vanilla, there was an
ERP is
ability
weird,
called
man.
Reckoning. This would give the Paladin an extra attack
sack.
on his next attack upon being critically hit, stacking infinitely.
Yeah.
A Paladin by the name of Karmer saw the potential in this, and
seen
using
this.
the dueling mechanic, he stacked Reckoning to an absurd amount to become a weapon of mass destruction.
Damn.
He did this right next to the outdoor raid boss, Kazakh, and when he was ready, he charged in and soloed him. A video of the event was released. Paladins worldwide started emulating it, using it to one-shot people in PvP, kill Kazakh themselves, etc.
It's insane.
Reckoning was quickly hotfixed to only store 5 charges max before more damage could be done, and Karmer as a result became a legend amongst paladins.
I mean, 5 stacks is still enough to one-shot, dude, okay? Like, Paladin is Red Paladin is the most meme class in the world, but I remember seeing this video back in the day and being like, what the fuck? How does he do that?
Next up, we have our first infamous player, Analog Kid.
Okay.
Drama over loot has never been in short order in this game, but centered around Analog Kid, it reached its apex in the Burning Crusade expansion.
Okay.
He was a rogue in the Vicarious Guild on the Area 52 server. From the Sunwell Plateau raid, the final boss there, Kil'jaeden, dropped the legendary hunter bow, Thoradal the Star's Fury. This was the first legendary item for hunters. It was perfect. It had a slow speed, amazing stats, and best of all, it had its own ammo.
It's also the best stat stick for rogues. Okay, I just want to say that. It's actually best in slot for rogues too.
This was back when hunters needed to buy ammo for their bows and guns. It was the item, and every hunter wanted it. Well, it dropped for the Vicarious Guild, and one of 2 hunters would be the lucky recipient, or so they thought. Citing that Analog Kid was more loyal to the guild, the item was given to him, a rogue, to use as a stat stick over the 2 hunters in the raid. Remember, this was also back when rogues had a ranged weapon slot and hunters had melee weapon slots. They could equip both, but obviously, ranged wasn't the rogue's primary, and it was—
Bro, to be fair though, he has 3 legendaries. What a Chad. What a Chad.
just used for extra stats. Word of this quickly spread, and the whole guild and Analog Kid became the subject of ridicule and anger. The ongoing joke in the game was that everything was a hunter weapon. Well, for this day only, this legendary bow was a rogue weapon.
I like that.
Let's take a break from the drama. Next up on our list, we have Andamar the Warrior of the guild Nerfed. And when I say the warrior, I mean the warrior.
Yep.
Back in the game's infancy during the beta, no one really knew how to play. Everyone quote-unquote knew that warriors were the worst class in the game. They killed things much too slowly and were constantly calling for buffs on the forums and whatnot.
Yeah.
Everyone knew they were underpowered, except Andamar. He called out against these cries for buffs and said that warriors weren't underpowered, but rather overpowered if you knew what you were doing. No one believed him, so he put his money where his mouth was and made a video showing how it's done.
What a Chad.
He showcased a 3-minute run of him steamrolling through high-level mobs, often killing them in just 2 hits, which was unheard of those days. Back then, the Bloodthirst ability worked much like Victory Rush, where it was triggered off of kills. So, he just chain-killed an entire compound without having to stop once to heal.
Insane.
To everyone's shock, he was right. Warriors were overpowered. In a storm of people saying that they were weak, he showed that with proper itemization and talents, they were wrecking balls.
Yeah, some people were really ahead of their time. Like, very much.
Shortly after the video was released, warriors were hit with the nerf bat, and everyone pointed their fingers at Andamar as the cause. He was just a little too good, and the class suffered because of it.
Yep.
In fact, he was so good that Blizzard hired him as an itemization developer. He's had a few items named after him: Ramaladni's Blade of Culling and Icy Grasp, which is just his name spelled backwards.
Sick.
And even in Diablo 3, you have the Ramaladni's Gift, which gives a socket to any legendary. He also got his own card in World of Warcraft's trading card game. Like I said, he was the warrior.
Damn, that's chatted, dude. Zuzo
Next
and
up, we have Zuzo and Shax.
What?
Zuzo was a rogue in the Method Guild back during the Burning Crusade expansion, and at the time, he gained the reputation of being the most geared. He had the server-first legendary Warglaives of Azeroth, and most of the Tier 6 set. He was a very hardcore raider with the gear to back it up. Well, someone with a lot of money started whispering
Oh, yeah, I remember now.
Zuzo, offering him real-life money in exchange for his account. Zuzo initially refused the stranger's offer, but he persisted, offering more and more money as time went on. The figure eventually reached 7,000 euros, which was nearly 10,000 US dollars at the time. Eventually, something happened with Zuzo in his personal life, and he found himself strapped for cash. So, he finally accepted the stranger's offer. He sold—
Dude, imagine getting $7,000 for your account, man. That's actually insane.
him his glaive rogue for 7,000 euros.
Euros.
The stranger renamed the rogue to Shax and got to play for all of 5 days before he was banned by Blizzard. You see, glaive rogues were very rare back then, so it was obvious what happened. Zuzo, a high-profile character due to his gear, disappeared, and this new rogue who had the exact same gear as him took his place. And it didn't help that this Shaxx character was also spectacularly bad at the class since he had never played it before, which was kind of hilarious to people considering he had the legendary glaives.
Yeah, it's
People-
just like some rogue in full pistons. Like, you're literally the only rogue with glaives on the server, and they get out DPS by some other people, man.
Quickly pieced together what went down, the details of the trade were leaked, and word spread like wildfire. Blizzard quickly caught wind of it, investigated, and dropped the ban hammer on Shaxx,
Yeah.
essentially setting fire to his 7,000 euros. It was such
This is like going down memory lane. Like, I start to remember the all the things when he starts talking about him.
a big event that it was even covered by the BBC, although due to legal reasons, everyone chose to remain anonymous. In a fit of rage, Shaxx was planning on suing both Guzu and Blizzard, but nothing ever came of it.
Blizzard.
I'm
Okay.
coming up with
There it is.
32.33 repeating,
Okay,
of course,
there it is.
percentage of survival.
Yeah.
Well, it's a lot better than we usually do.
Alright, thumbs up.
Ready, guys?
Let's
or-
do this. Leeroy Jenkins!
One of the classics.
Oh my god, he just ran in.
Everyone knows Leeroy. Being the subject of one of the first viral videos of World of Warcraft,
Yeah.
Leeroy was a paladin in the Pals for Life guild. The guild was running the Upper Blackrock Spire instance and were coming up with a plan of attack for the next room. While they were constructing a strategy, Leeroy came back from his AFK and with a battle cry abruptly charged into the room, guns blazing, or swords blazing rather. He pulled the entire room of enemies, and the entire raid was overwhelmed and eventually died. This gave birth to the Leeroy term, which is ascribed to reckless
Yeah.
or stupid behavior in-game. The video quickly became quite popular, with it even being
Really?
referenced in the game show Jeopardy,
Damn!
although none of those filthy casuals knew the answer.
Oh my god, he just ran in. Yeah.
And that would be the world of Warcraft.
Shameful. Blizzard
Dude, a title. He got a Hearthstone card. Probably one of the coolest and most iconic Hearthstone cards as well.
also saw fit to acknowledge Leeroy in-game through many different ways.
Yeah.
They released an achievement to enter the same room he did and kill 50 whelps. This awards the Jenkins title in-game. And in the Warlords of Draenor expansion, there was an event to where you could resurrect an NPC named Leeroy Jenkins who, after a short amount of time, would rush to the end of the dungeon. If you were able to clear before he quote-unquote Leeroyed, you
Yeah,
got...
sadly, yeah, I was about to mention that after. It was actually staged. They had rehearsed it, and it was a staged event.
an achievement, and you even got him as a follower in your garrison. Truly, one of the most famous players in the game.
Yeah.
At least I have chicken.
At least he has chicken. Oh! What is this?
The story of Zerak isn't necessarily based around a player, but rather a community
was fun.
manager. The World of Warcraft forums have always been a pretty unfriendly place, but it was particularly bad during the early days when there was less moderation and tools for reporting people.
Okay.
Trolling and flame wars were rampant, and the community managers, or CMs for short, were often the target for players' frustration and rage. Nowadays, for the most part, the abusive posters are either ignored or banned, but back in the game's infancy, the CMs were a little more interactive, with Zerak being the most outspoken.
Okay.
Having been a CM for a couple of years already, Zerak was starting to show visible weariness having to deal with the forum's more unscrupulous users.
Dude, like, if you spend all your time on WoW forums or like anything similar, game forums or something like that, I don't think it's very good for your mental health, okay? I must be real, dude. It's just people complaining and hating on everything, man. True Star just read this post is belittling everyone and acting like douchebags in general, wants to buy European CMs that can actually do their job right. But I'll give one thing here, nice to have a very at least splash of blue here, even if you just to Ricky Duel. At least I don't circumvent the profanity filter and try to call someone out. I guess you can't help it, you're an e-thug.
Instead of
Oh, so he took up the battles against the forum posters. Oh no.
simply removing posts, he would enter debates and
Oh,
arguments
no.
with these trolls.
You don't do that, dude. Oh god, because that's what they want. That you're just putting fuel on the fire.
Some cheered him on and saw him as a crusader of sorts, fending off the trolls of the forum, and others were in awe and saw his behavior as rash and unprofessional. It all boiled over one day when Zerak replied to a thread created by someone wanting to know how to report a CM for inappropriate behavior.
Good luck.
He gave the avenue to do just that, and jokingly wished the poster good luck in reporting him.
Oh no.
Another user replied asking if he was depressed, egging him on. To which Zerak replied that the poster was cowardly because they hide behind the anonymity of the internet,
Okay, he's actually fighting them, or he was.
stating that he's the one who quote-unquote steps up. The exchange continued, and Zerak posted the frustration of his job as a CM in the form of poetry. Can't help it, posting impassionately, they say you don't care. Posting nothing, they say you ignore. Posting with passion, you incite trolls. Posting fluff, you say nonsense. Post with what facts you have, they whittle down with rationale. There is no win, there's only slow degradation. Take note, it is the first and only time you'll see someone in my position make that position. You can be me when I'm gone.
Oh shit. Damn.
The response was mixed. In typical fashion, some people sided with
I'm not gonna be
Zerak
here.
against the trolls, and others condemned his lack of professionalism. And some people were just curious to what the heck was going on. Zerak made another post, venting further about the troubles he faces with his job, how he has to deal with people constantly goading him, deriding him, and so on.
Yeah.
After a little back and forth, he dropped the mic with the following quote shortly before the thread was deleted entirely. Understand that this moment will be fleeting, and that there is a hard crash of self-esteem to follow. You'll try to feed it again and fill the void, but it'll never be enough. You've backpedaled into the troll excuse. You have no point, you have no meaning, you have no significance.
Oh shit.
You will be forgotten.
He literally just called them losers. Holy shit. You're a bunch of fucking losers. Okay?
Following this, Zerak made just one final
They are? I mean, listen, but if you spend all your time on forums just arguing with people, and you could probably spend your time a little bit better.
post in response to another troll thread created by that day's drama. It reads as follows: killing a Zerak should aggro every Zerak in a 40-yard radius. It makes sense, you're actually killing their best friend.
What the f-
In a final post, Zerak replied with this. A few days later, Blizzard announced that Zerak had left the company. It's still a point of debate to this day whether or not he was fired or he
Damn.
quit. The following year, another CM, Drysk, was asked about Zerak's fate,
Damn.
to which he responded, "If I answer, you might ask the same thing of me tomorrow."
Oh.
On
I
a
work in CS for an airline, so I get this guy 100%. Dude, having to deal... having to deal with all those kind of people all the time at your job must be so, like, soul-draining.
later note, next up we have Kralnar.
Kralnar.
Every warlock knows who Kralnar is.
I don't
He
know
was
this.
a level 11 orc warlock who made quite the puzzling post on the warlock forums. The discussion focused around warlocks and their use of staves.
Okay.
The post contained a 4-step process. 1. Post message in the room. 2. Look it over. 3. Don't report anything, I might get in trouble, smiley face. And 4. Have fun.
What?
Kralnar himself failed to post any information about his staff, other than the fact that it was quote-unquote a good one, and alluded to the fact that he would somehow get in trouble if people were to report him.
What? I don't
Players were left
understand.
mystified by the post. Some followed Kralnar's instructions and posted and talked about their staves, and others flamed him over his lack of sense and poor grammar.
Yeah, what? I don't understand.
Frustrated that some were not following his 4-step process, Kralnar posted the following and was never heard from again.
Is it just schizo posting? Like, what? Okay, guys, how simple can you be? It's a fucking topic about staff users. If you're not a staff user, get your ass out. Jesus.
The thread quickly reached 100 pages of responses, and
What?
Kralnar became a legend amongst warlocks. He was referenced by Blizzard in their sneak peek of the new arena system in the Burning Crusade,
What?
which featured an orc warlock named Kralnar, decked out in a full tier
Cool
4
staff.
set and using a wimpy level 5 staff. He also got his own TCG card when upon entering play, the player may search his deck for a staff card to look
What?
over. Next up, we have a player who had one goal, to be the most hated and most prolific ganker on the entire server. This is the
Angu, if your goal is to ruin my day, you have succeeded. Holy shit, Angu is on the boat. Is this the story about that guy, like, literally camping for, like, very long time in Menethil Harbor? Dude, ranking was, that's what I did. I only did it for 3 months, though. Okay? In the span of 3 months, I played 18 hours per day. with the sole purpose of ganking people. But I did it for a purpose. I was ranking. Okay? I got a lot of very interesting messages in my DMs, wishing quite ill things about me and my friends and my family. But yes, let's hear the story about Angu.
The story of Angu. He was an orc rogue player on the Dethicus server who had had
I was not griefing. I had a goal. And my goal was rank 14.
Deep into the Alliance territory into Menethil Harbor to kill low-level players, either in transit to other areas of the game or just there for questing.
Oh god.
He would spend around 9 hours a day in Menethil Harbor, taking out any
I spent 18. Jerk, you have no life, why don't you go get one? I was just fishing. You know, if I could catch a fish and slap you with it, you smell like the pussy that you are, I would. I absolutely hate you, Angu. You're a nerd and have absolutely no life. Hell, you probably live in your mom's basement. Oh, he's loving every single one of these messages, man. Oh.
adventurer unfortunate enough to enter his sights. He quickly became a legend on his server, even spawning intricate guides on how to avoid his wrath.
What?
Naturally, he was met
So he's a role player. He's a role player.
with anger from his victims. At the time, you couldn't have both Alliance and Horde characters on the same PvP server.
Well, sorry, you just irritate me a great deal when I'm in bad mood trying to get to help a friend, and I have a violent nature. I'm really sorry that your mom was so mean to you when you were a child. Sometimes I wish you would just die.
So, people would make alternate accounts to give Angu a piece of their minds. And he himself made an alternate Alliance character named Angu Spy on the same realm to goad reactions from his victims.
Wait, what did he type? Why don't you just stream of one day leveling up and killing me in game? And you know he would just run away from a max level because he's probably dog shit at PvP, okay? All these like griefers and gankers, man, they all suck, okay? They just go out and pick on the small ones, dude.
Reactions from his victims. He screenshotted some choice conversations and hosted them on his website as an archive to his in-game antics. I'll have a link in the description if you'd like to see all of them. There are a lot.
Sliva says first time chatting the stream says I used to grieve Silver Moon starting area as a hunter when Snake Trap would trigger people's PvP. Dude, do people just play like Classic and World of Warcraft to grief, man? I swear to God they do, man. Your fault for picking PvP servers? Bro, people will also do it on PvE servers, man, okay? They will do that shit.
He's since moved on with his life, but back then, he was probably the most infamous rogue, not just on his server, but in the entire game.
I wonder where Angu is now. Like where is he in life? What happened to him? Is he sitting on Aero servers, like, you know, ganking people still? Or is he like a multi-millionaire philanthropist with his yacht, just chilling with a boat with hot babes and hot dudes, right? Who knows? In his mom's basement? Ah, maybe.
Next, we have the undead warrior, Nocton.
Oh,
Nocton isn't really known for an in-game event. Instead, he's known as being the first recorded recipient of the first legendary in the game, the Talisman of the Binding Shard. This was a legendary amulet that dropped off of the Baron-Geddon boss in the Molten Core raid. It had some resistances, strength, agility, stamina, and a Thorns proc. Nocton was the lucky recipient in a March of 2005 raid by the guild Nerfed, the same one Andamar was from. But the item wasn't actually intended to be a drop in the game. Blizzard just forgot to remove it. As soon as word spread, Blizzard removed the necklace from the loot tables and let Nocton keep his, making him the only person to ever have this legendary necklace.
And it is the only necklace that actually has a visual thing. The necklace actually shows up on your character.
Legendary necklace.
Cool. Okay, final one, chat, for today.
Odd groups got left.
Oh, that's a classic.
Even
Okay,
groups
that's a
got
classic.
right. That means 1, 3, 5, 7 left, 2, 4, 6, 8 right.
Anyone who's played World of Warcraft knows about the Onyxia wipe animation. The person you just heard was named Dives, Tauren warrior and the leader of the guild Wipe Club.
There's a lot of clips of him.
On one fateful night, Wipe Club decided to raid Onyxia's lair.
Well, left side, even side. right! Many whelps! Now handle it!
Did they really tell him?
Dives was the acting raid leader at the time, and as you just heard, things weren't going so well. They were having trouble killing the boss, and Dives wasn't too happy with the raid's performance. And what resulted was the birth of one of the biggest rage moments in the history of gaming.
So good.
That's a 50 DKP minus! What the was that?
One of the raid members took audio of Dives' vexation and made it into an animation that was watched around the world. At the time of this video, the animation has reached over 8 million views and is an example of what can happen when people take things just a tad too seriously. I played just a sample since I want to keep this video PG-13, but if you want to see the whole 4-minute meltdown, I'll have a link in the description. So, that's about it. Those are some of World of Warcraft's most famous or infamous players. There's probably a lot that I missed. Feel free to let me know, and if you enjoyed the video enough, I might make a part 2 to this. Let me know if you'd like to see that. As always, I hope you found the video entertaining. Like it if you liked it, and thanks for watching. Peace.
I'll link it here, chat. I'll link it here. Okay, here it is. There it is. Yeah, the reason why I wanted to watch this is because he recently came out with like a really new one, like a part 5 or whatever. And we watched it last night. And I realized I have never watched any of these like before, so I don't know. I figured it'd be fun to watch. Maybe we'll watch like one of these per day. Just like start the streams with them, right? Really cool video though. Really cool. It's like you kind of go down memory lane a little bit.